All right, here we go. All right. Welcome, everyone, to this second panel discussion of Remember to Breathe, One Step, One Breath at a Time. And this topic is so timely, such a timely conversation, a community conversation for Gen X caregivers. I'm Lani Almanza, and I'm the founder and CEO of Alakai Associates. And this panel is in generous collaboration with the Shine Circle and Debbie Prediger. So, a recent study showed that 71% of middle aged Americans are engaged in caregiving roles for both their children and their parents. And out of that 71%, 70% of those are also working full time. And about 25% of them are working from home, trying to juggle both worlds. And while I've experienced that to some extent in the same way, it's not the same as the Gen Xer is. And so I realize that my adult children are in that phase right now, but that also these expert panel guests, Dr. Stacy Moore, Jenny Infante Reyes, and Randall Hurt Sr. And our intent here today is to provide a safe space for Gen X caregivers to share their stories and tips for not just surviving, but thriving in this season of their lives. So thank you all for agreeing to share this time with me and with our viewers. So first, I want to ask each of you to introduce yourselves and tell us your current Gen X caregiver situation, or as some call it, the caregiver predicament. So what does it look like in your everyday caregiver world? Dr. Stacy, let's start with you.
Oh boy, it's a predicament. Now, Dr. Stacy, aka the operator, I am in the predicament. So I help Gen X, mostly women and those that serve Gen X women, to find more resources and connect them to relationships that provide more visibility, credibility, and so that they can live a legacy now. That's where my shift is gone. And in order to do that, caregiving has become, of course, the center of conversation many times as to um, the thing that's holding them back or the thing that keeps them up at night that they're most unaware of the answers to. And so I help them utilizing AI to provide them with schedules, meal prep, paperwork for medical and legal situations, and then to take some of the mundane tasks off of their hands so that they have a little bit more time for them. And I appreciate being here today and also being under your tutelage as part of your community to remind me to breathe. Hashtag 4444. And if you know, you know, so that I can share and help remind others. So thank you, Lani, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Stacy, for your support and being with us. Jenny, let's go to you next.
Hi, Lani. Hi, everybody that's watching live. And so if you're live with us, I would
Uh,
love to see you. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Stacy and Pastor Randy. I'm honored to be on this panel as well, because again, I think if some of you might have seen my post, I had said I never really considered myself a caregiver. I thought it was just part of what it is that I was was thrown into, right? Was I have two children that I care for, and then I'm the eldest of three kids, and so our mom is kind of in a situation where her age and her health is catching up to her, and my husband as well with my in-laws, caring for his dad and his mom, and so we are caught in that middle, but it just fell into our laps, quote unquote, like it was just part of who we knew to be, and didn't think too much of, oh, we're like the sandwich generation. um Outside of that, I build my own business in marketing and strategy and branding, and so I care for my clients, but I think it was just very present when you said, like, oh yeah, you are a Gen X caregiver, because as Dr. Stacy had shared, here you are trying to build your legacy, but at the same time you have the children and then the parents, and the parents are not in the same time zone or even the same country. And so how does that look like? And yeah, that was a great perspective to have coming into this. So thank you for having me here.
Thanks, Jenny. All right, Pastor Randy, tell us about your predicament.
My predicament. Thanks so much, Lani, for having me here. So wonderful to be with each and every one of you. I am Pastor Randall Hurt. I've actually moved down to Tampa, Florida a couple of years ago from Chicago. So I'm very excited to be here. But what we were met with, my wife and I, of 38 years, she was actually using a GLP-1, and she had an incredibly bad reaction to it. So we went to a whole amount of probably about 6 months or so, not even understanding what was wrong. And she went into this space where she could not eat. She could not swallow. She could not drink water. And you know how important that is. So what I found myself doing is really just being with her as much as I could, because I actually work from home, thank God. So I was here each and every day with her. She needed something that could help her and support her. We went out to emergency rooms and things of that nature, and finally got to the place where we found out what it was, got a remedy, and now she's on the mend. Thank God for that. Yeah. I tell you, the idea of being a caregiver is something that I was introduced to with my wife's grandmother a few years ago. It was the first time that we actually spent nights and sometimes weeks away from each other. We've been together since I was 16, she was 17, right? And I'm not 16 or 17 anymore. It's been a little while, right? But we got into a position where the last 2 years of grandma's life, we actually moved in with her and took over the medications and really got an opportunity to see what an absolute joy and a gift it is to be able to pour back into somebody that had poured into us for so many years. So I always tell people, even when I counsel them, I'm like, you know, the hardships that you're going through, it's not something that's there to break you. It's there to build you. And it actually prepared us for what Vicky went through. That's my wife, what she went through this past year. So, you know, for better or worse, sounds real good on an altar, but it's real different in a hospital waiting room.
Oh,
So
for sure, for sure.
I had to learn. I want to share this one last thing. I had to learn what I'm calling now, because I make up terms just to kind of get my head around things. I learned how to speak nurse. You guys know what speaking nurse is?
Yep.
It's okay. It's all right. Yeah, you drop that, no problem. I know it costs $40,000. That's all right. We'll get it taken care of. I learned how to do. I'm joking, but I learned how to do it, because everything that you say to them, they're very sensitive, and you have to be very careful with how you handle them. So I learned a patience that I didn't have, and I learned things about me, the capacity that I had in me, that I could move in a way that I didn't know that I could, and I had a strength. And it's a gift. It's a lot of hard work, as I know you guys know, but it's a gift to be able to serve her in this way.
Yeah, I think that just is so encapsulates what caregiving is. No matter what season or who you're caregiving for, is there can be really hard struggles, but if you can look for the moments of joy that will carry you through and show you the strength that you have, that's what we're looking for. So, as we can all see from these stories, that Gen X caregivers are caught in extended sandwich squeeze. So you find yourself facing an unexpected caregiver role like Randy did. And so I'm going to ask each of you to describe a time where you felt like you were in sort of a disoriented spiral, feeling like you were losing yourself in the process. But when and where did that happen? And so let's go to Jenny first this time.
Oh my goodness. So, well, my father-in-law had recently passed last year, and his care required that my husband fly overseas quite a bit. And, you know, it was sometimes not planned. Well, a lot of it wasn't planned. And so I felt it, I guess you could call it the disoriented spiral, because then it was almost like, oh, here's what we have set. Oops, no, I've got to go. I've got to fly. And all of a sudden now I have to readjust things and schedules. And my eldest at the time was in college application season, and my youngest had just transitioned into high school. And so it was just a lot of new things, transition, juggling, changes, and then clients. And so, just having to juggle a lot of that. And, Pastor Randy, thank you for presencing that fact of having to care for other people, because I did have one of my best friends was diagnosed with breast cancer as well. And so having that on the back end and going, okay, how do I give here? What do I have to do here? What do I have to do here? And then forgetting actually to actually stop and take a breath and go, where am I? What am I doing? What day is it? Like, I was waking up tired, and just being able to have to manage and shift through all of that and just go, okay, well, we've got to keep going. We've got to keep going, especially with the children. That you're their last resort, quote unquote, you're the last resort. So it's kind of the how do we have to keep this train running without everybody falling apart. And so I kind of felt it was just a lot happening all at once.
Yeah, for sure. And that you said it. It's like you forget to take those moments to just stop and breathe. Dr. Stacy, how about you? When was your disorienting spiral moment?
What I'm going to say is that it's like the Midwest during tornado season. There's not one time per se. There comes times, and sometimes you can see it coming. You can feel it coming. You know that you're about to have one of those moments, whether it's because the medications weren't ready. So one of those medications may affect behavior, and therefore without it, you now have an impact, which may be that next whole day, maybe a couple of days till medication gets integrated again. Or it may be blood sugar level at 500 and they're almost comatose. And so you're trying to self-identify as you're talking to someone who is not very responsive about what's going on, and having to use AI to give me recommendations so that I can tell the person on the phone so that they can then send an ambulance out to have that person go, oh my God, like I've been trying to tell you this. And then it's the times where it's me, where the struggle is me, the tornado is me, and me being so overwhelmed that I can't focus, that I can't think, that I forgot to eat all day long. So I'm just going to say it's like the tornadoes in the Midwest during tornado season is that they can pop in and hit and have total destruction, and you're thankful for still living. And there are times where you can see it coming and you can kind of get out the way of it.
Yeah. Wow. That's such a great analogy. I hadn't even thought about that, but knowing my parents are from Kansas and Nebraska, I know what that looks like. Dr. Randy, how about you? I mean, Pastor Randy, how about you?
No, I'm not a doctor yet. There's a couple things I'd love to share with you. One, I recall when we did not know what was going on with her, and we were going through different doctors and specialists and things of that nature, trying to figure out what was going on. And I remember one day she was asleep still. It was like right before the sun came up, and I sleep on the right hand of the bed, right side of the bed, and she's to the left. And I remember stretching my arm out, and she was a little further away from me, so I felt nothing there, just the pillows. And I remember saying to myself then, I'm like, okay, so how do you do this? How do I sleep in it? Because even when I go to hotels, I sleep on the right side. That's just where I sleep. How do I do this and she's not here, is what I was thinking. And as a pastor, I started thinking about, okay, no one's going to do the eulogy but me. So I need to start figuring out what I'm going to do. I started making these final plans. A little bit down the road, maybe 4 or 5 months in, I remember going to the grocery store. We have our middle boy he's an adult. He lives with us. He's on the spectrum. Beautiful young man. He's my favorite. Don't tell anybody. But out of my 3 boys. But I had to go and get some food because, of course, she handled the household. That's part of what she does for us. and I handled the other pieces, right? And she wasn't there. So I had to do both. And I remember one day I went to the store, and it's Florida, so I can't leave the stuff in the groceries. I was going back to the hospital. So I'm like, okay, I got to stop by the house, drop the things off, put them away, and then go to the hospital. I remember coming in, and I don't know if you guys like this, but I love taking my shoes off when I come in the house. I love it. I feel like a little kid. I love it. I have like 8 pairs of house shoes. I don't put any of them on. I love it. So of course I take my shoes off. I use the restroom. I come out, and I'm in my phone because everything has to be scheduled. There is no emergency. Hey man, can you? No, everything has to be scheduled. So I'm looking at it, seeing what the next appointments are. I'm still working. I'm the executive pastor at my church, so I'm still serving there, and I'm still doing the things that I need to do to take care of Vicky. I remember going out my garage is right off of our kitchen, going out to the garage, and I took 2 steps, and my brain clicked in and said, man, this floor is really cold, isn't it? And I looked down, and I didn't have my shoes on. Turned back around. I took a picture of it. It's very important to document as you're going through. I took a picture of it and remembered when this happened, so I could really, really reflect on what's going on and the reality of it.
Yeah.
But I went back, got my shoes, jumped back in the car, went to the hospital, and continued on, because it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It can't stop. I'm the only one there, and I won't let them down. I won't let my mission at church down. I won't let my kids down, and I certainly will never let Vicky hurt down. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Those moments of forgetting who you are and where you are, and then remembering who and where you are. And that, I like to say, that moment is your breath. It's like you stepped on the cold floor, and it was like the
Yes.
inhale that woke you up. And we forget that we get in those, it has to get done. It has to get done. It has to get done. And while that's necessary, like you said, forgetting to eat, forgetting, to put your shoes on, it just takes one breath to bring you back into focus, into presence, so that you can take the next step. So my next question is then, was that your turning point or your breakthrough where you stopped asking yourself, how do I manage all of this? And started asking, how can I integrate this role with who I am, with who Stacy is, who Jenny is, and who Randy is? So Dr. Stacy, can you start this one for us?
Yeah, I'll start this one. I know that for me, I kind of kept it to myself. I was in denial for at least a year of moving. So for me, I am a secondary caregiver for my stepfather who has dementia, married to my mom, so obviously not my father, and she'll be 80 in November. So I am trying to preserve her. So after coming out for double cataract eye surgery and seeing the situation and how much she was taking on, there was no way I could leave. So then that's when I exited my car, my apartment, my things in Atlanta, and decided to stay here, but thinking that it was just going to be for a period of time. Had no idea how long or what the process journey was going to be, but we are officially at 3 years now. And so the relinquishing of my life, then at year 1.5 is where I go, oh, I'm not going to be able to do things the way that I did them before. And so starting to go into that self-development of self to say, okay, well, this is a fine time to identify, what do I want to do? What do I still love to do? Am I slowing down? Am I worrying about me? In addition to this, now I've been living by myself, so I'm in a household with others, at least. The real moment was when I stopped fighting the fact that he wasn't my father, and had the moments of where my father was not in my life when I was younger, and then moved forward and passed in 2012. So there is no recouping moments, hugs. And there were times that I said that, I really wish I had the opportunity to have done that with my dad. That I now, even though he has 5 children, they don't come around. Now I have some of those things from him. I get the hugs. I get the hand being held. I get the long, deep stares. The things that I do that then he chuckles at me and I say, "Oh, that's funny." How I wished when I was 4 that my father had been around to see me play the drums that he dropped off when I was 2, and the different things. So I have been given that second opportunity to actually receive some of the love and care, and I steal the hugs that I didn't get. And so I'm grateful for that opportunity and never expected to receive in that way. So yeah, that's for me where things changed.
That's a beautiful turnaround, is how you integrated not just caregiving, but a whole new life for yourself. And those moments that we often take for granted, that how important they are, that we get so deep in the caregiving sometimes that we forget to pause and look at those long stares or the hand holding as those moments where both of us are in breathing. Both of us are in that breath together. So that's beautiful. Thank you. Randy, how about you? What was the moment where you broke through from how do I manage this to how do I integrate this?
This is such a great question. This is so good. And I was chomping at the bit. I'm like, I can't wait till she comes to calls on me. Going through all of it, when we finally found out what was going on with Vicky and they corrected the eating and she's able to drink and things of that nature. Because I mean, literally, when the operation was done and she came out of the anesthesia, the first thing she asked for is, "Dude, I'm hungry." So she said, I'm like, "Whatever you want. I don't care if I have to fly and get it. Whatever you want, that's what you're going to have." She wanted a McDonald's burger. I'm like, okay, that's easy. That's down the street. But I remember when we were taking her first bath and the PTs had to come in to see, we were in a rehabilitation space for a few weeks. And they had to come in and see who was going to bathe her and who was going to take care of her, because she was very, very dizzy and her a lot of vertigo. Her balance and everything had been affected. Thankfully, none of her organs were affected through all of those months, which is a blessing.
Yeah.
But I remember them asking questions, and this one really, it didn't shock me, but it helped me to realize who I am, not only to her, but who she thinks I am. And they were asking questions like, okay, so Vicky, who's going to wash your hair? She's like, "Oh, he's going to do that." "Who's going to give you a bath?" "Oh, he's going to do that." Very nonchalant, very quick, she answered. "Okay, so when you need to get your nails and stuff like that, who's going to do that?" "He's going to do that." And she never looked at me. She never asked the question. And as I was listening to my wife talk, I remember, because we're fighters. We've been together for 40 years. We're a team, right? And I remember I was fixing something or packing something or, preparing a cup of coffee or something like that. I'm just doing some busy work. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, that's a silly question. Of course I'm going to do that. Then I remembered who I am, not only to myself, but who I am to her. She was reassured. She's like, "Oh no, he's going to do it." And I'm saying in my mind, because I never talked to the PT person, I'm like, "I don't want to talk to you. I want you to take care of her. I don't want to take any of your energy or attention. Take care of her." I'm like, of course I'm going to do it. So that helped me to kind of really, really get centered. Like, okay, we got this. Let's go.
Yeah.
However long it takes.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's every caregiving relationship, every caregiving journey is so unique and different. If it's with your partner, your spouse, or your child, it's just every person has a unique journey, and I think that's where Gen X caregivers find themselves having different roads. And it's like, okay, but how do I how do I parcel myself out into these different roles and still stay whole? So Jenny, how are you, or what was the moment where you went from managing to integrating?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question, and um I thought about it for a long time. But if you remember, Lani, up until you actually called me a caregiver, I never really I never thought of it as something I had to like consciously do it. And so I felt like maybe it could be a series of things. And maybe there are a lot of people that are out there that they fall into this role and they're like, I just have to do it, right? Without really thinking of it. It's part of my vows, as Pastor Randy has said, for better or worse, sickness and in health. When I had the kids, I always tell, my friends would say, how do you do all of that? Where you juggle this and you juggle this. And I said, well, I always say the juggle is real. And I've always attributed it to being a mom. But as I guess that was the bigger shift of, well, it's a juggle of being also a caregiver on top of a mother, a wife, an entrepreneur, I mean, a sister, a daughter. It was just being able to acknowledge that as well for me in different situations and just go, well, there's I think it was Pastor Randy or Dr. Stacy that said there's no way these things are going to drop. We're all of it all at once. And so instead of thinking maybe I'm losing out on this, it's just, well, this is part of who I am, what I have to do at this phase in my life. And it's just what are the priorities and how do I manage that on a day-to-day. And I think that's part of the integration. I just never really consciously thought of it as a shift, but more of, well, this is the situation we're all in now. This is how we probably have to adjust, right? And it's the same thing when when I talk to my kids, it's like, well, dad has to go fly. It's not that he's less of a dad. He's just playing this part of his role at the moment because this is where he's needed the most. And then we all adjust in that situation. And so I never really felt that there was one particular moment. It was more of probably just how our lives had been strung out. Even when my friend received that diagnosis too, it was more of, okay, this is her situation now. How do we rally the troops? What does she need? And I love that whole discussion on the assurance of these people who are getting the care know that there are people that they can rely on without really having to question who it is, because I feel like that's the nature of a lot of the people that will probably be listening to this as well. The nature of a caregiver is it just comes out. It's part of who you are. It's what you do. And you don't necessarily think about it too much. You just go do. And it's a matter of taking care of yourself after that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to highlight here is that you need that breath, that's the taking care of yourself in the midst of all of this, because you can't separate yourself from all of these different roles that you have. So how do you then, in integrating your roles, find yourself, your purpose, and your joy? What is one way that you do that for yourself? Dr. Stacy, I'm going to go back to you for this one.
I'm sorry.
It was one way that you integrate all of that and find your purpose, yourself, and your joy.
I'm going to say it has been through the Shine Network, to be honest. Through the women that I have met, and allowing me, so I am that type A on the edge of the seat, ready for the next thing, figuring out and calculating 33 steps down the way. I needed to be in an environment where I could slow down personally, and that people were tapping me on the shoulder saying, hey, are you doing too much? Just inviting me to respond to that. Or when's the last time you really took a breath? Right? Not just the survival that you've been doing all day long, but where you could really feel it, and where you can feel the stress, where you can feel the anxiousness and allow yourself to feel it, because I'm really good at moving past the things, you know. And so being invited to do that in an unsafe environment on a regular basis allows me to return back to that and to just have those moments of softness and feeling cared about from people literally all around the world. And that's been so healthy for me. And when I need a dose of it, I either DM or go to a session or whatever, just to put myself in that environment, that proximity of that type of feeling. So yeah, I have to say that that's it. And the association with the women, and even, you know, now that's led to Pastor Randall, you know, because that's an extension of the ripple that then said, oh, you know, here's somebody else that's like us. And so reach out and we can start, you know, bridging some of these gaps. And we're here today to do that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Jenny, how about you? Where do you integrate yourself, your purpose, and your joy into all of these roles that you have?
Yeah, I think I mean, and I know that it takes practice, because as a caregiver, whether you realize it or not, your nature is to give, and your nature is to always be outwards. And so it was presence for me, that I needed to learn and practice receiving. And so, you know, even with my kids, it's a simple, what about you, mom? What movie do you want? Or what do you want to do today? And it's like, okay, it's my turn. I don't always have to give to them. They can I can take some time for myself and say, well, you know what, I'd like to do this. Or when people say thank you, you know, thank you for the care, or thank you for taking this time, you receive it and be present in the moment. And so what are some of the things that that I would love to do? I always keep that at the back of my mind and include that as part of the juggle.
Awesome. Awesome. Randy, how about you? How do you integrate yourself, your purpose, and your joy into your caregiving?
This is a good question as well, and thank you both for your responses. That really blessed me. I'm laughing because there's a sense in me, and there's something that I believe. My faith gives me this, that I am going to do the things that I'm called to do, and that includes my family. I'm going to do it, so I'm going to keep pushing. I get joy out of the small things. It's one of the things that's really great about not only having a long-standing relationship with a partner, but also having a church family and friends and things like that that are checking in on you. I've been that person that did not take anything from anybody. It was all pride. That's what it was. It wasn't strength. It was pride, right? And I learned a long time ago that no, when people ask to help, if you need to receive help, go and get it, right? The thing that I love about this particular season that we're in is that voice for me, again, as more times than I can imagine, it was Vicky. That simply we kept pushing until we found out what was wrong. So whatever kind of gear we needed to shift into, we kept going there and just kept going and kept going, because this particular season, you can't stop. Right. But the moment that we found out what it was, we got the remedy, and she started to recover. That's when I took my first breaks. So there was nights that I didn't sleep in the hospital. And I think it's so great about it too. And I don't think that it's because I'm such a great person. It's something that was really in me. I asked her first, is it okay if I stay home today? She's like, yeah. She gave me that grace. And friends came over, taking care of the house, taking care of Calvin, and they were praying for me as well. You know, and you could feel that strength from them just pushing for you. And always asking, texting and in emailing and DMing me, are you okay? Do you need anything? Are you okay? Do you need? And that just enough to let me know that I'm gonna be okay. I would put one more thing here. I shared with some friends of mine after she came out. So that last little visit to the hospital was about 6 weeks. After she got back home to her bed, I shared it with her. I never shared it while she was in the hospital. And I shared it, and I'm like, listen, I always knew that this was going to end like this. I always knew it. I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know you. She said that, guys, she lost about 60 pounds in those 6 months. So I'm watching her decrease and diminish right in front of me. But even through all of that and not knowing what was going on, I'm like, I know she's going to return. I know she's going to. And that gave me strength as well. And that, as far as getting back to me, it just reminded me of who I was, reminded me of what we'd been through. It reminded me of how you can look at adversity and say, okay, this is what's happening. And now how are we going to do it tomorrow? I don't need to worry about, and I love what Dr. Stacey says, I'm that person too, like 30 steps ahead, right? But this particular moment, I just got to go to one step.
Yeah.
Get that solid, go to the next step.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one step, one breath at a time. And both you and Dr. Stacey mentioned something that reminded me of one of my foundational self-care things is my lifeboat theory, that lifeboats are meant for a certain purpose and they only fit a certain number of people. And so you want the people in your lifeboat that you know are going to throw you the rescue ring if you fall overboard. So whether it's your family, your friend circle, your faith circle, make sure that you have at least 3 to 5 people in that lifeboat that you know you can call anytime, day or night, that are going to throw you the rescue ring no matter what. And the other thing about asking for help, that's something that caregivers think they got to carry that load, that, got to wear the Superman or the Superwoman cape and I got it. No, I don't need help. I got it. We need to be better at asking for help. And when we do, we need to be really specific about how we ask, because oftentimes if we're not specific, people don't know if their skill set is what you need. And so they aren't going to step in until you say, I need somebody to do. I remember when I was deep in my caregiving with my son, Jacob, and it was somebody asked, what do you need? And I said, you know what? I need somebody to come clean my bathrooms and do the ironing. Like, if you got that skill set, come on down. Otherwise, we're good. So yeah, make sure you have your lifeboat people ready and make sure that you're specific when you're asking for help. Do any of you have one more tip that you want to give to the Gen X caregiver specifically about how to not lose themselves in their caregiving, how to integrate those roles and find purpose and joy? Just what one tip would you like to give from your perspective, from your caregiver predicament, with everybody watching? Jenny, how about you?
Probably the thought that it's not a predicament, and that perhaps it's really just part of who you are and what you're meant to do. And so being present with it and through it, it's all a part of a journey, and that we are who we are, and there's a specific role that we're here to play, and that's a piece of that puzzle. And so I would just say acceptance of this juggle, that it is real, it's not something we need to keep fighting, and that there's a beauty in what Dr. Stacey and Pastor Randy had shared. There's a beauty and a gift in it as well.
Great. Pastor Randy, what about you? What's one tip you would like to share?
I love that, Jenny. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it is a gift. And I think that if I could just extend that a little bit, one of the things that I learned, even with Calvin, as someone that was on the spectrum, he's got diagnosed when he was 3. Mm-hmm. So we made up in our mind as his parents that as long as he needs someone to take care of him, it's going to be us. He's never going to have to figure out anything. We're going to support him. And that prepared us for grandma. When we got there, we knew what to do because we'd done it with Calvin. And then grandma and Calvin prepared me for Vicky. Mm-hmm. And in each of those instances, I got to see development. I got to see people with joy. I got to see people be able to let their shoulders down because they knew someone was there to help them. And in particular, I was thinking about grandma, especially when it really, really hit home for me. Vicky had times with her, and I was thinking about it when you were talking a moment ago, Jenny. She had times that grandma started telling her stories because she had dementia as well. Started telling her stories from her childhood that no one in the family knew. I told Vicky, and it was a 2-year period. I told him, like, listen, get you a hard drive, and on your phone, take 1,000,000 pictures and take 1,000,000 videos, because these instances are not going to happen again. She'd never told people. There's secrets, secrets for neighbors. She told Vicky about some hidden money that she had sitting there for years. It's like, no one knows this. Don't tell her. Like, what is But the thing that was so beautiful is that exchange that her and her grandmother got to do. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And it's a gift to be able to serve someone that's helped you. So I just want you guys, don't think of it as such a burden, because it's not a burden. It's a gift. It really is, to be able to support and to serve somebody in that way.
Awesome. All right, Dr. Stacy, what is your tip?
And I love what both of them said as well, in the reminder, of course, that we get to, right? Because there's a possibility that the opportunity wouldn't exist at all. And so we have been chosen, and we won't go down all of the biblical parts that go to that. But I will then say is that remember that each one of them sat in a seat where they did not think that they would need the caregiving themselves. So for each one of us to think now, how can we ease the life of a potential caregiver by putting things in place now? And that is, and I'm not talking about plots, although that's, that's your business, right? If do it the way you want and how you want it, prepare for it now. Financially, as well as if you can make the choices, make the choices. But even things as crucial as one of the things that got me last year was I was just thinking about my business. And I had to think, when I think about social media platforms and all the logins I have and all of that, that all of that information is not in one place. So they would have no idea. Money would continue to come out of my account month after month with them not knowing where all the subscriptions and who's getting money for this. And is there, so getting some of those things in order as well. And then let's look at, if this is a family member that's gone before you, let's start looking at that medical history. Let's start looking at your own history. And especially as a Gen X woman, the stresses that are going on now, and how are we dealing with those? Are we identifying? Are we taking time to breathe, to figure out what hurts, so that we can get those things checked out now and potentially not have to have a caregiver for a component because we did the extra work? So I'm just going to say, stop, be still now, and check oneself. So you look forward to what a caregiver could have to go through. And so how can you put things in place now, including doing things that lead to not having one?
Yeah, for sure. And that just reminded me about why I wanted to do this particular topic, because I have children that are in that space. And I remember it was 15 years ago when we had to move my parents out of their home into an assisted living for caregiving reasons. But we also had to sell off almost all of their belongings in order to help finance that, because they had not put a plan in place. And I remember at the time, so my daughter was in her late 30s at the time. And she came home from work one day and very sternly told me and my husband that we better have our act. She used a different word, but we'll keep it PC. Act together, because she did not want to go through what we had to go through with my parents. The lack of planning, the emotional roller coaster of having to sell off all their things. And so I took that very seriously. And so that's one of the reasons why now I want to make sure that we address this topic, because it's so relevant. So yeah, it's something that we currently, with the trends of the population, there's so much to unpack that this 40, 50 minutes has only started to open the door to. So I just hope that each person watching will continue to have these conversations in their own communities and their own families. And I am also so grateful for Dr. Stacy, Jenny, and Pastor Randy joining us today and opening up their hearts and their life experiences. And if you want to know more about this topic, any of the guests here, or the Shine Circle that Stacy mentioned that is supporting this, please leave a comment or send us a message, reach out to us. And also, if you have any questions about the topic, let us know. And lastly, we want to invite you to put on your calendar for the next panel discussion of Remember to Breathe, which is coming up on August 10th. Same time, 8 a.m. Hawaii, 2 p.m. Eastern. And this topic will be a community conversation for the professional caregiver and understanding compassion fatigue. And there's a little bit of a difference between compassion fatigue in that role and what we call caregiver burnout. So we'll unpack that a little bit in August. And that will, our guest then, Dr. Stacy Moore will be joining us again, and Dan Hare from Navion, Hawaii, which is a caregiving organization here in Hawaii. So Jenny, Stacy, Randy, any last words before we sign off?
I'm gonna go first this time and get it out the way. Just to say it was a pleasure and an honor. I can feel the vibes amongst us and kind of an elevation of my own self in this moment. We had a little bit of a moment this morning. So it's been nice to be here and to have that understanding of those that are going through it, have been through it. And then also the support that's coming in from the outside and reading some of these comments. It's good to be wrapped in that right now. So I appreciate being here. I appreciate you doing the series yourself. And it's allowing me to work more on myself. I do want to do what I say for myself to be in the best position so that I'm not, intentionally putting myself into a caregiving situation. So thank you for the reminder every month and other times too, because you tap me on the shoulder all the time. Appreciate you, Lani.
Thank you. Thank you. Jenny?
Well, thank you too for having me here and for making me realize that we are in this role as caregivers, whether we have chosen it or it's chosen us. And so I think the last words are to remember to breathe, and that you're not alone. You can see there are so many people here surrounding yourself, your lifeboat, like you said. So you're not alone. Come, and there are a bunch of us that can have those conversations.
Thank you. And Pastor Randy, what's your last words?
I am going to definitely steal the lifeboat analogy that you got. I'm going to make it mine, but I want to give you another one. I just want to let people know that are going through this and that may enter into a season like this, that is simply a season. It's just the next chapter of what's happening in your life. That's all it is. Don't make it worse than it is. And it's tough sometimes, especially if you're going through it for the first time. But I always share with people when you're going through very rough times and challenging times to think about it like a roller coaster. Here's mine for you, Lani. In that you go through a roller coaster, the way that you enjoy it and the way that you really appreciate it is you have your hands up and you have your eyes open. You need to see the movement of things that are going on, because that person that needs your support is someone that's relying on you to help. And you do not have to do everything. You don't. Use your network, use your lifeboat, use it, because I know that there are people out there that want to support you and want to help you as you navigate through this season. You got it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, hands up, eyes open. That's a great one. All right. Okay, well, thank you everyone again for your time this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you next month. Remember to breathe.